Hey everyone, Bill Soroka here, founder of NotaryCoach.com and author of the best-selling books, Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. I have a new blog that just went out this week called How to Make an Attorney Prospect List. You can find that at NotaryCoach.com/blog or hang out right here with me because I'm going to read it to you. Making a list of your potential prospects is one of the simplest steps that you can take on your journey to work with estate planning professionals. I call this list my Fab 100 list, but as you start working with attorneys, you might find it's more of a Fab 600 list, especially if you're in a large metropolitan area. Why is this? Well, different than the loan signing industry, where there's only about 55,000 or so escrow officers across the country. In estate planning, there's over 216,000 attorneys, and there's an estimated roughly 5,000 or so that graduate every single year. So that gives you a lot of prospects. But if you're in a smaller community, you can expand your radius to some of the surrounding areas and maybe the largest metropolitan area. Right now, don't stress about this. Your list doesn't have to be 100% accurate. You can use the internet or online directories to search for estate planning areas in your estate planning attorneys in your area. Now, keep in mind that the attorney doesn't necessarily have to have an office in your area in order to have a client in your area. So to make this even easier for you, just put everyone you find on the list. You'll clean it up later. Now, a word of caution here. Don't overcomplicate this, nor do you want to oversimplify it. Here's what I mean. You don't need anything fancy to actually make this list. A legal pad, a Google Sheet, or Excel spreadsheet is just fine. You don't need a fancy CRM. In fact, simpler is better to help get you started. You just need some kind of system to keep track, check off boxes, and take some notes. That's it. Now, at the same time, you don't want to get too lazy with it and neglect to make a list of any kind. For example, I've coached notaries through this process, and they insist on just dialing for dollars from the computer screen. They just want to pull up a list and they just start calling after they search estate planning attorneys near me. If your plan is to simply cold call and be one and done without ever building relationships or following up, then it might work, but it really won't. You need a database, your Fab 100 list, to make notes, highlight hot prospects, scratch out names of the ones that don't fit your model, and then track your contact with each prospect. Marketing to attorneys has a much longer sales process than you might realize. I was pretty shocked by it. It's likely going to take 6 to 8 more messages, emails, calls, or pop-ins, whatever method you choose to use before you actually get a meeting or get to a yes. And those points of contact might actually be spread over several months. It's not just like you start calling at 8 a.m. and by 5 o'clock you have a new client. That's why it's so important to get started right now. So here's your first few steps to creating your Fab 100 list for notaries, for attorneys, I'm sorry. Number 1, grab a legal pad or open a new spreadsheet. That's it. Number 2, do an internet search for estate planning attorney near me. 3, put everyone you see on that list. Write just the firm name, a location, just the cities only, their website, maybe some initial notes, anything that stands out about the firm or the attorney that pops for you. There's no pressure here. Don't overthink this. Don't bog yourself down with writing down the exact addresses, all the details, every partner in the firm, although that can be handy for you too, but just get the basic information. Remember, this is not the research phase right now. You don't have to go into a bunch of detail. That will come later. And finally, number 4 is you can expand your search by looking at attorney directories as well. You might get some crossover from your internet search, but I was actually really surprised by how many attorneys didn't show up on one or the other. Sometimes they were on a directory, but they didn't have a Google business profile or a website, so they weren't showing up in my search results, or vice versa. They had a really great Google business profile. They popped up, but they were not on some of the real popular attorney directories. So here's what's interesting about that. A lot of times attorneys don't know the business side of things. They don't know how to advertise. They don't know how to build a Google business profile. They don't know how to keep their name, address, phone number the same throughout their profiles. And they don't know how to optimize those profiles. Why? Because they don't teach that in law school. They're busy learning the law and passing the bar exam. So as an extra bonus here, there's a few different attorney directory links. You can find these if you go to the blog at notarycoach.com/blog. I actually have the links here, but you can check out the AVVO, Find Law, lawyers.com, Abogado, which is a directory of Spanish-speaking lawyers. And then, of course, the Bar Association has their own directory as well. Now, final thoughts here. It's called the Fab 100 for a reason. Do whatever you can to get at least 100 names on your list. If you live in a small town with 2 attorneys, then expand to the next biggest city and the next. Search for estate plan companies as well. Include paralegals or legal document preparers. Every state has a different name for what they might call their legal document preparers. Get to 100 names or more, and then you can start the next phase, which is basically just getting in their orbit and starting your research and deciding who it is that looks like someone you'd want to work with and who you would not want to work with. Good luck in your business. My name is Bill Soroka. You can learn everything about me at notarycoach.com.